What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Wrap Up Review series where I review games that I've recently finished, where I do unorganized, unorthodox, and unbiased reviewing. And in this episode, we will be reviewing Adventure Time, Hey Ice King, Why'd You Still Like Garbage for the Nintendo DS. um, a few quick plugins right before I get started with the review. For those that didn't watch those videos, I announced that Yu-Gi-Oh! 101 Fan Day will be on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro this week. On the first, Yu-Gi-Oh! 101 Fan Days are until until further notice every Friday from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Central Time. So you got to check your local time zones to see like when is that for you. I also wanted to announce that I will be doing another Yu-Gi-Oh! 101 tips or discussions video um, later on this week, so you guys can get ready for that. Also, I know some people were wondering, like where the new Lufia gameplay footage is. I spoke on this earlier this week in my uploading schedule, like which very few people watched. This week I'm on a roller coaster work schedule as I was last week, and they have me on this. I'm off one day and I'm working the next, off one day and working the next type of schedule. And I spoke to my manager, and next week it's supposed to be fixed. So I'm supposed to be working Sunday through Tuesday, and then Wednesday through Saturday I'm off work. So because I have more consistent days off work, I'll be able to focus on the video game. You know, because because I felt it was a bad time for me to just sit down and take my time and try to play a game knowing I had to wake up the next morning and I had to go to work. So next week my work's my schedule is supposed to be fixed, and so that's when you guys can expect to see new gameplay footage. Now I got that out the way, on to the review. So Adventure Time, Hey Ice King, Why'd You Steal Our Garbage? What is it? Adventure Time, Hey Ice King, Why'd You Steal Our Garbage is a miscellaneous game based on the hit TV show Adventure Time. The game starts off with Finn having a dream about the Cosmic Owl, and out of nowhere, the Cosmic Owl attacks them, and Finn and Jake, he attacks um, them and Finn and Jake, and then Finn wakes up, and then they go outside trying to look for an adventure to get into when they discover that their garbage has been stolen, and of course, as the name implies, you know, in the title, the Ice King did it, and they know he did it because he purposely decided. Because he purposely left behind a note saying so. Now, on top of the fact that stealing garbage has to be one of the most crimes, like I had to find a word for it for a minute. That has to be like one of the most depressing crimes you can commit. Um, who's dumb enough to leave behind a letter saying that, hey, I did this? And that's just like Ice King in the show. He's a lonely person that just needs attention. And, so throughout this whole game, you're playing as Finn and Jake, um, going throughout the land of Oo's villages, kingdoms, and dungeons, etc., trying to discover where the Ice King is and why, and like just what was the purpose of him stealing your garbage. The gameplay is a mixture of platforming and open world. The open world elements come into play. You're on this world map and you're wandering around and you see these shadowy figures, which are monster encounters. And each monster encounter has a wave of monsters within them. And after you defeat them, you um, get a treasure chest. Like with a random item in it. Like whether it be a tiger claw, a ninja cape, a milkshake, an apple, a Nightosphere amulet, etc. Um, um, Different items do different things. They can heal, um, increase your attack, your speed, your jumping ability. Um, they can give you some special abilities, like for every attack, I'm like you can shoot out these ninja stars. I'm like just a variety of things. um, The combat of this game is very simple. Very simple. You control Finn primarily, and Jake is there for assistance. Really, like just early on in the game, like Finn's attacks are like just this three punch combo. But short ways into the game, like he gets a sword, which has this unique feature to it. Uh, that depending on how much health Finn has, will determine if he attacks with or without the sword. So, like once his health drops to a certain point, then he'll be able to use the sword. Uh, then he won't be able to use the sword um, until you hit him, heal him. So, on top of the attack, he has jump attacks, a slide kick, uh, the ability to crouch, and Jake has an attack button where like his arm does like the stretch punch for attacking enemies that you don't want to get too close to. Um, there are new abilities for both Finn and Jake to learn as you go through the like these dungeons in U that are in these giant uh chests, and most of them are for Jake because, like I said, as I mentioned before, he's made for assistance. Like Jake can learn skills that you can use in the platforming sections as well as the open world sections of the game. Um, um, that you'll find yourself using as you'll travel, you know, throughout the four uh, lands of U. Um, yeah, that's right. Like they only got four sections in this game, but yeah. Uh, so for an example, like he has an ear shield ability that can reflect projectiles and block off these these gusts of wind in the dungeons that can push you back. He has an umbrella ability that he can learn that can help you uh, cross over large gaps. Um, he can make himself into a bridge to cross over broken bridges, a boat. He can uh, stretch his legs to help you reach higher areas. So he really does, come in handy throughout the game. And it's almost like Finn, what would you do without Jake? Like literally, because he really does come in handy that much. Another thing that you will find yourself, well, like another thing that you will find in these dungeons are these wizard stars. So you use these to upgrade the heart's attack or speed of Finn. And now, from what I know, like there are 12 stars and four rows of three, so there are just enough to max out everything: the hearts, the health, the attack, and the speed, which is like pretty much self-explanatory, like the last two. And so like it's just enough to max out everything. Um, like my overall thoughts on the game, um, like you get to like meet you know some of your favorite characters like from the TV show, uh, such as Lemon Grab, like Marceline, the Vampire Queen, uh, the Ice King, of course. Um, I don't know what's those things called, the Marauders, I believe. The Viking Marauders or something like that. You meet those. Uh, some of the monsters in the game are the the thieving pixies. Now, I can't remember exactly what episode of Adventure Time this was, but it was an episode where I think Finn had swallowed this auto tune computer or something like that, and they were traveling through this forest, and they found these three fairies in this lake of fire. And Jake helped them out, and then when he released them, like well, all three of them had to start um, destroying old ladies. Like those guys are um, flying around, and there are like some sugar cubes, like literally some sugar cubes that shoot some thunderbolts at you. These bony little spear throwing fairies. Um, so yeah, like there's a lot of uh, familiar faces in this game that you've seen in the show. Sadly, not everybody didn't make it. The Lich King isn't in there. Um, Even though his sword is in there to help increase the attack. Um, um, uh, Billy isn't in there. Um, there's no quest for the Enchiridion, of course. Um, and some of the things I didn't like about the game were that there's really no replay value at all. Like there were some things that I felt they could have did better. There's this one part of the game where, like, in order to reach the Ice King and get past like these ice blocks, what you have to do, you have to turn Jake into a boat, and like you have to go to the highest peak in the grasslands to reach the Fire Kingdom. And the sad part about it is that like the Fire Kingdom is not even like a kingdom. Like it's just like one flat surface. I'm sorry, I was looking at my phone for a minute because I received a text. But yeah, like the Fire Kingdom is just one floor with the Fire Princess, and the only thing you're supposed to go there to get like is like this fire sword to help you get past those ice blocks at the Fire Kingdom. I mean, at the Ice Kingdom. In order for you to reach the Ice King. And that's pretty much all it's used for. Like I think they could have made, like a lot of these places more adventurous per se. Um, I felt like like they did an okay enough job with the game, but they could have did more with it. For example, this game has no replay value really whatsoever. After you beat the game, like there's this game plus mode where you get to keep all of the stars that you had um, accumulated like during the first playthrough, and everything else gets reset. Like all the moves that you learned, etc., etc. All of that gets reset, and you only get to keep the wizard stars. Now, I thought that maybe like they would have did like some type of boss rush type of deal or something like that. Like that would have been cool. Cause like the boss battles are like one of the better parts of the game, and like I thought they would have gave some type of feature to where like you get to face all the bosses or like something like that. That would have been cool. Um, at least at like I'm like at least like the last boss of the game, like they tried to do something different, and it's a shame. Like um uh that they didn't try to do that more often, like throughout the game. And then on top of that, like the game is only 6 hours long. Well, like it took me 6 hours to beat it. I've read other people say that like it was only 5 hours long for them, but for me it was 6 hours. So that's what I have to go off of. Like the game was only 6 hours long for me. It didn't really last long. Um, like I said, like I expected more from it, but at the same time, I'm not too upset at what I got. It still captures the essence of what Adventure Time is. It's still funny. It still has those weird, um, the humorous moments in it. Um, it's still fun, and that's pretty much all you can expect. Uh, the only people that I would ever recommend this game to is those that are fans of Adventure Time. Um, if you're looking for something like that's not too difficult to play, um, then this game would be it. Oh, I forgot to mention while it's still on my mind, and this is very important. It's very easy to get lost in this game. They don't really explain exactly where to go in the game like early on, and I found myself like just wandering around, seamlessly for a very long time. Like they just didn't explain uh, where to go. They tell you who to talk to, but then you talk to them and like nothing happens. So like you would definitely need to read the guide as I did, which is the reason why I'm able to even get as far as as I did in the game. Um, because see people sending me text messages again. But yeah, like you really need the guide when playing this game because like they pretty much did like a bum job with you explaining. I mean, like with them explaining on like where to go next. And it's very easy to get lost. But with that being said, I still think the game is fun, and I think if you're a fan of Adventure Time, then this pretty much is the game for you. And that's pretty much like the only people I feel confident, um, you know, I like recommending this game to. So I'm gonna give two scores. One like for the fans of the game, and ones who may play this and may not be so much of a fan of the game. If you're a fan of the game, I could see you giving this game like a 7 or 8 out of 10, possibly like more so a 7. But if you're not a fan of the game, I can see you giving this game like in all honesty like no lower than a 6 out of 10. It's fun, it's short, it's some things they need to work on if they were to make a sequel to this, which I hope they, in all honesty, like I hope they try to make a new Adventure Time game that has more to it and that's longer. But that's pretty much all I can really say right, for that. But yeah, if you're a fan of Adventure Time, then this game is gonna be like a 7 or an 8 out of 10 for you. But if you're not, then this game is probably gonna be like a 5.5 or a 6. So that's pretty much it. So that's everything for this episode of the wrap up. Hope you guys enjoy it. Like I tried to be more consistent with my talking. And, yeah, you like that, don't you? Yeah, you like that. That's why I see that smile on your face. I can tell. But that's it. And hey, I'll see you guys for the next wrap up review.